Welcome back to the channel, fighters and nerds. A bit of an exciting announcement before we get too into the video. It has been brought to my attention that I have an overwhelmingly American fighter base and that I need to expand my international audience. I'm proud to announce that Liberty Prime will now be joining me as my international correspondent. So on that, it's good to have you with us, Prime.
Voice module online. Audio functionality test initialized. Designation, Liberty Prime.
Alright, glad to hear it. Anyway, with History Channel offering the biggest cash prize in steel fighting history, performing at your highest may not be the only thing you need to worry about to bring home that sweet, sweet money. With 3 episodes in the bag, we can start to see a trend emerging. So, let's not waste any time. Here's your guide to survive the chaos. Before we get too into specifics, it's important to look at the rules. Jay outlines it best.
Throughout today's competition, you will be judged on aggression, technique, and defense.
There are 3 rounds of a 6-man free-for-all. Then 3 fighters are selected to advance, while 3 fighters remain to fight for that last spot in the next round of the competition. This final 3-man free-for-all is the last chance you get to get into that second event. As much as we all love to say everything is objective and there's metrics to all the events, there are 3 judges that will advance you to the next stage. As with any judge in any sport, there's going to be some difference of opinion and some tactics judges will value over the other. Let's take a look at our 3 judges and help develop a plan. First off, we have our host, Jay. While he has an extensive experience in the WWE and is a hell of a sharp man, he has never armored up and has never fought this match style. He'll be very similar to what you will see a standard audience member look at this sport. The big hits, clear takedowns, and the noticeable holy shit moments are going to stick in his mind. Generally, if you have at least one big play every round, you're going to have Christian's vote. Now, let's talk about Captain America himself, Andre Sanu.
Democracy is non-negotiable.
Alright, so, anyway, being a product of the ACL and fighting on multiple national teams, he has a bit of a keener eye for when it comes to judging fights. Now, if you ask Andre will describe himself as a power flanker. The short description of a power flanker is a fighter who has an incredible 0 to 60 with a big frame. Simply put, they can make a quick charge at someone and generally outmuscle their opponent when they catch them off guard. This requires a great deal of field awareness and especially field exploitation. This would mean that in addition to the criteria mentioned before, when Andre sees movement on the field, 9 times out of 10 he's going to consider that a good move, even if it comes out that it's overly aggressive and sometimes puts you in a bad spot. We can really see this highlighted when we look at Paul Friedel and his advancing into the initial 3.
For me, it's Paul.
Can't believe that you're going to go with Paul.
He landed some good blows with his weapon.
Brandon, he landed some good blows with his weapon.
Paul, he was aggressive.
And his aggression evaporated because he was surrounded.
He had no defense.
And he spent the last part of the 3rd heat on the ground.
Lastly, we got John Clements. Coming from a historian's perspective, he was aware of armored combat and the fighting involved, but has never stepped into this kind of list. I want to make it very clear though, he is no slouch when it comes to armored fighting. He brings a wealth of knowledge that even our most seasoned fighters can't even hold a candle to. We can see this clearly when he comments on the techniques of Micah's swings and the sword and shield work of Brandon Knight. So with our judges' preferences pegged down, we can now start to shift focus and talk about equipment. The first thing to note that is, of the 12 fighters that advanced into that second stage, all of them brought their own armor and had fought in the armor multiple times. They got plenty of helmet time in the Armored Combat League, and there is no substitution for experience. Fighters like Anton and Gilbert were new to the sport and could not get comfortable in the armor. While great fighters in their own discipline, it was a new beast and they just could not adapt. The veterans of the Armored Combat League certainly had the advantage, and the stats certainly showed it. Now what gets interesting is when we break down the weapons used in this initial Chaos round. Taking the comments of the judges, which should range anywhere from 3 to 6 comments per round depending on how eventful that round is, we tallied up the comments to highlight what the first 3 episodes have shown us. The first number that jumps out at us is the number of two-handed strikes that got attention. 43% of the comments were about a fighter getting a hard strike on another fighter. When looking back at the film, it's fairly easy to see why. We all want to see some carnage and brutality, and nothing is more brutal in this sport than seeing a two-handed axe break a fighter in half. The interesting number with these two-handers is that they made up 62% of the weapons used in the six-man free-for-alls, with nearly every axe making it to that second set of rounds. The only axes that did not make it to the historical battles were Ethan, who had to go up against Brandon Knight, who quite literally holds the most golds for sword and shield in the ACL. The second would be Anton, who brought a long sword to a melee, which anyone that's been in the ACL knows it's not exactly best practice. As a fencer, he's used to dancing around, but unfortunately that's not what the judges were looking for, and you saw it in their choices on his episode. Next, we see 24% of highlights were from takedowns. For everyone already in the Armored Combat League, be sure to take special note, because most of these takedowns have both fighters going to the ground. These takedowns are more geared towards MMA takedowns, in that even though you are on the ground as well, you are in a dominant position. For those that want to view this in a historical context as well, this would be a viable kill move in war as well. A knight is most susceptible to a kill slice when they are on the ground and most importantly on their back. This is when knives come out and can easily penetrate eye slots, armpits, and in a complete dick move, major arteries. Don't get ahead of me, people. What the judges also see as well is how fast you can recover from these takedowns. Don't think you're taking the tactically smart move of playing it safe on the ground and avoiding gassing yourself out too early. The judges spot when a fighter is up right away, and it'll make you available to get a good blindside or another run at a fighter, playing up to that added mobility as well for Andre. So, now what you all want to hear, my take on what you need to do to advance to the historical fight round. First, join the Armored Combat League. That's simple. It'll let you own your own armor, and it'll let you fight in it regularly. Then, show up to the six-man free-for-all with a two-handed axe. Don't make the same mistake Santos did. Don't mistake a polearm for a two-hander. He had a few nasty hits in the list, but the polearms are best used with a friend. Start off strong and tie up with someone. If you know your other contestants, go after one of the newer fighters. Tie up and take them to the ground decisively. Get up quick and see what fight are already developed. Run in and get a hard strike on them. More points if you have to run across the field to get that strike. Once you land a few strikes, keep an eye out for a wandering axe and play the defense. Don't get yourself caught out and bide your time. You earned your points, so now you can choose what engagements you want to insert yourself in. And there you have it, the early guide to advance yourself through the chaos. Tune in every Thursday after Night Fight airs to hear myself and the experts from the show break down the episode and see what worked and what didn't work. And if you want a shot at that sweet 10K, sign up with the Armored Combat League and get yourself some helmet time. There's no better steel fighting in the USA. And last, if you just enjoyed this video and want to hear more about steel fighting, go ahead and click that subscribe button. We'll be putting out new content every week. Take care, and thank you for watching.